Good to see you, Speaker Pelosi. Let's start with redistricting, because Texas Republicans earlier today unveiled their highly anticipated map of how they would redraw districts in their state to basically flip 5 Democratic House seats, make them Republican. Under this map, for example, Democratic Congressman Greg Cesar's seat is completely eliminated. Congressman Henry Cuellar, Congressman Vicente Gonzalez's districts will be made more Trump-leaning. Now, Democratic governors, as I don't need to tell you, in places such as California, are vowing to fight this tit for tat. Do you support that? Should California respond with their own redistricted map to give Democrats more seats?
Yes, but before I go into that, let me just say that what you just described was the elimination of many minority seats in Texas. And that's unfortunate because the gerrymandering that they're doing is also undermining the diversity that we need to have in the Congress. As far as California is concerned, we would go to a commission. We have a commission-based redistricting. Instead of the gerrymandering that they're doing in Texas, we've had a commission that has drawn the lines in California. We would alter that a bit in order to pick up the seats that we need. It's not necessary if Texas doesn't do this, but the Texas redistricting and what the president has talked about in other parts in the country is indicative of the poverty of ideas that the Republicans have, and they have to resort to this kind of gimmickry in order to try to hold the House. But we will hold the House, and we will participate in California if Texas decides to go forward.
Your governor, Gavin Newsom, said that the 2026 election is being rigged by the Republicans. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's who they are. But again, so much is at stake in this election. We fully intend to take back the House. We only need about 3 seats. I want 30, of course, and they know that. That's why they have to go into this rigging process. But we will again. We have the capacity to have more seats in California. We can win them in the election, or we can ensure them in the change in the commission. Now, with the caveat that the commission would, in the next redistricting, go back to drawing the lines.
This afternoon, President Trump mentioned you, and he made an allegation about your investments. I want to roll that clip and then give you a chance to respond.
Yeah.
Seem to be having some sort of
investments.
Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
But I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. He's always projecting. And let's not give him any more time on that, please. We're going forward here, and I'm very proud of my family. And while he might make fun of us, while somebody inspired by him breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot, I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now. Rather to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid and Medicare. What a triumph, a great pillar of economic and health security for the American people. We had over the weekend a Caring Across Generations initiative of a 60-hour vigil of all of us taking turns, myself, my daughter, my granddaughter, and all the rest taking turns over 60 hours to tell stories of how all of this, what all this means in people's lives. We, since all this has emerged, have had 300,000 calls from our Californians to people in Republican-held districts for them to constituents to call their Republican members of Congress who have voted for this shameful, dirty, filthy, stinking, lousy, rotten, anything but beautiful act. And now we are engaged in the Save Medicaid Summer. So today is the 60th anniversary. It's something to be very, very proud of. And instead of what the Republicans are doing to deprive people of access to health care who need it so badly, people with disabilities who need it so badly, for the children
let me ask you,
who need it so badly.
Polling over the weekend from the Wall Street Journal showed a Democratic approval rating for the party as a whole at an all-time low, with only 33% of voters having a favorable impression of the party. Do you think the changes to Medicaid that are going to be made because of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, do you think that is going to help Democrats significantly in the midterms next year?
Well, I think we were always going to win. As I said, we only need 3 seats, and Hakeem Jeffries, we're very proud of him, will be the Speaker of the House. But again, certainly the vote that these people took to throw people off of Medicare, to close rural hospitals to the hundreds, and in terms of hospitals and rural clinics and the rest, and to what it does for our veterans and people with disabilities who need help, yeah, it should be helpful. But the fact is, we wish they would just change their vote. We'd rather have Medicaid and not have it as an issue in the campaign. But if it is, we certainly make sure people know how their member of Congress voted. You know, I always repeat Lincoln. Lincoln said public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. But for that to prevail, people have to know. So that's what we're making sure, that people know what the difference is in this election when it comes to their well-being, and people are telling their stories. In last 18, when we won, before winning 40 seats, 31 of them in Trump districts, 10,000 events around the country, people telling their stories. You'll see a lot of this now, and we fully intend to win. And we'll know even more by September and October, when people start filing for election, when you see the A-team that the Democrats put forth, and having to, the Republicans incumbents trying to defend what they are doing to the American people by voting to cut. Now, our summer is about cancel the cuts. Cancel the Trump Medicaid cuts.
So we just got some news a couple hours ago from your home state of California. We're learning that your former senator and vice president, Kamala Harris, is not going to run for governor in California. This obviously opens the door for her to run for president again in 2028. Is that something you'd like to see?
Well, I'm sure that I support any decision that she made in terms of running for governor in California. And now we're off to a gubernatorial race where we have many great candidates, one in particular, Lenny Secopoulos, whom I support. But unless if Kamala was not running, whatever she decides to do in the future, that election's 3 years off. I'm focused on this one right now, and then the gubernatorial, the governor's race now, as well as the first and foremost for me, winning the House to save our democracy and to save health care for our children and for the American people. Yeah.
Democratic Congressman Jerry Nadler from New York is now facing a Democratic primary challenger in his race in the midterms. 26-year-old Liam Elkind says he's running against Nadler because he no longer thinks Nadler has the energy or the mindset to respond to the threat posed by Donald Trump. What's your response? Are you going to back Nadler?
Well, Nadler decided that he's going to run. If he does, of course, I will support him. I've always supported the incumbents. And again, that isn't without any encouragement for other people to express their own enthusiasm about the future. But let me say that I have had my disappointments in New York elections in the past. Let's hope that whatever happens there ends up on the very plus side of Democrats taking back the House. I've never not had an opponent. I've never not had an opponent. I don't remember anybody endorsing me from the Congress, but I've never not had an opponent. That's politics.
All right, Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Cancel the Medicare cuts.
Always on message. Speaker Mike Johnson's also coming up. We're going to get his response to all this as Republicans fight to hold